Hello! Hello, everybody. Welcome. I hope your week has been good. Well, I mean the end of your week, I guess. So today's going to be a shorter live because we're not talking about as many pages. And we're coming up on a new book. I thought I said 11 today. We just finished. All right, good. Bonjour. You have quotes. Yes. Why can't you be here now? To skip it? Do you want to make it another time? I mean, we didn't get to finish the 4 chapters. Oh no. It's so good. I agree. I did it all in one sitting. I just burned through it. It was really good. It took me an hour maybe. Probably less. All right, well, we're only going to talk about... Today's going to be a shorter live because we didn't read as much. We're still entering this very long story, it seems. I mean, we're only that far in, and we have that much to go. So let me look at something real quick. Yeah. Okay. So, for everyone that's coming in, let me turn a light on. It's too dark. It wasn't brighter before, but I don't like how orange this light gets. Slightly better. I hope there's something I can read over break because college sucks. Yo, there's a ton of good books. There are literally an infinite amount of amazing books. So yes, thank you, Alberto Sherwood. That's not your name. The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. We had been recommended this book by our very own PDF holder, Rita. And I thought it was a really good idea. It's on every list of books you have to read in the last couple years. When did it come out? Yeah, 2017. So now that we're going into 2019, this book's about a year old. So, where to start with this book, really? Let's start with how different it is from Man's Search for Meaning. I think, yes, the book is amazing. The beginning is so cool, interesting. I already love Star. I agree. I think it's awesome. Very different. You're right, Carrie. I mean, a totally... Yeah, honestly, I read it in less than an hour. Same. Totally different pace. I like the way you enter the story at a party. I always like when you enter films and movies and books in parties. I think it's a really cool way to bring you into a certain world. It's very specific. It is young adult. This is one of the first young adult books I think we've read. Right? This is our first one. I think we should do more books like this. Yes and no. I want to expand our horizons. If these are books you already are going to read, then you don't need me to read them. And also, as much as I love young adult books, I'm a little older than that. Not saying they're not for everyone, but I know my reading interests are a little different. So I like coming to things like this, but we'll do it occasionally. We're not going to do this all the time. Alberto's my birthday. Oh, happy past birthday. You got thrown off a horse and it crapped on you? Oh, a cat crapped on you. And you got snake bit? Oh my God. You should write that movie. Happy belated birthday. I hope everything starts looking up. Oh, Khalid. Yes. That was, let's so let's do how we always do every book. What are your first impressions? I've said mine. A lot more interesting than I thought it would be. I thought it pulled me in right away. Very different from Man's Search for Meaning, and I'm excited to continue reading about Star and what happens with her life. So let's think about it. What are your first thoughts of this pretty good book? What do you guys think? Very gripping from the first page itself. I agree, Jordana. I loved it. Very interesting. Pulled me in right away. Agree. Loved it. The beginning was shocking. I really want to keep going. I know. I felt like I was reading a movie, which is cool. When did the live start? Not long ago, Annie Hansen. 5 minutes. You didn't miss anything. We asked the first question. What did you think of the book? I wasn't expecting to go there as soon as it did, but Star is a great protagonist, and I really sympathize with her. I love this book. Can't wait for you guys to read the rest. I read the whole thing in one sitting. It's pulling me in straight away. I think if it wasn't for waiting for the lives, I'd happily read it in one sitting. Yeah. I loved Khalil. So sad for his death. I couldn't stop reading. It's amazing. I died of laughter when they mentioned Voldemort. I love the new book. Very easy to read. It's good, different, as I said. It's a parallel for the real world, to be honest, and I think this book will be a really good read. A lot better than I thought it would be. Interesting, heartbreaking, but also captivating because it's just the first chapters and I'm already involved. I totally get what you mean. I'm just 19. I feel like these kind of books don't belong to me anymore. I think ours or Rosende is set the bar pretty high. It did mostly because I was like, we're used to reading, not used to, we come from the world. We all met via Shadowhunters, so we met from the world of young adult. And while I think, as we can see, some really important novels are being written in young adult fiction, I think we have to make sure we're always crossing genres and going in and out. We've been doing a lot of fiction, but I'm working on that. I'm surprised that the novel went there as fast as it did. But then again, I like that. I like that we're not waiting half a book to find out what the book's really about. No, it's all there. It's like this is what we're talking about. This is what we're dealing with. This is what happened. And now we're going to see what ensues, I'm assuming, from this crux point of... So sad. Do I plan on seeing the movie after finishing? Absolutely. I absolutely plan on seeing the movie. I could have kept going at this book much more than till chapter 4. I feel like we can do a lot more until next week. I agree, Annie Hansen. It was until chapter 5, though. Like, don't read through chapter 5, but up to chapter 5. So, I hope you read all of chapter 4, and we're going to do 100 pages for the next week. I might do a little more, because this book is really easy and fun. But this is a very important book, so I'm very glad we're reading it together. Same, like, I read 5 chapters more than I should. Well, good, that means you're probably caught up for next week. I'm back! Anna Cat Fernandez, back! You were having dinner with the family? Oh no, go have dinner with your family, that's very important. Only thing bothering me is the bad grammar, but I know it's for authenticity. Well, it's not... Yeah, okay. Star's a great character, me too. I was surprised too, but I'm intrigued to find out what happens next. Exactly, I used to read lots of sagas a few years ago. The Maze Runner, Shadowhunters, Raven Cycle, then RR came along and I discovered a lot of books I never thought I'd love. Exactly. I loved it. It was interesting that the family's so nice. Normally in YA, parents suck or don't know what's going on. That's actually an awesome observation. They don't suck, they don't know what's going on, or like in the case of Shadowhunters, they get taken away. Can we have a side note really quickly? This is a completely different tangent. Have you guys seen the trailer for the movie The Mortal Engines? And is it just me? Or is it like shockingly similar to Shadowhunters? Just let that linger while we continue talking about this book. Yo, Juan Maltz! Everyone say hi to my boy Juan Maltz. He moved to Hawaii. And Juan Maltz, I actually have to call you. I'm going to be in Hawaii. I will call you. Don't have anything to write that down, but I will call you. What's the use in having a voice when you're silent in moments you shouldn't be? I feel for Star. She's 16 and gone through so much. I can't even imagine what Star's already gone through. Historically speaking, it's very poignant and very important for readers to understand, especially in this climate. I agree. I don't know how to... Miss Sarah G? Miss Sarah G, is that your name? I use that quote on the Rosende Reads Reading page because I really do feel that John Green kind of nailed it there with you read books to understand and to feel understood. And I think this book will help a lot of people understand, and maybe it'll help some people feel more understood. And it's amazing the parallel worlds we all live in, just based on gender, sex, race, orientation. Yeah, everything about it puts you in a subcategory of like a different world that you live in, a different way in which the world interacts with you. And I think it's very important that we acknowledge and learn as much as we can about those different worlds to learn how they can live together. The book is quite important considering what's happening in the world with black people and the police. Yes. I read until chapter 6. Good for you. Favorite young adult book? I don't know. It's okay. They were cool with me coming here. Okay, well, tell your parents I'm sorry for taking you away. Like all dystopian novels, thanks Sarah, I discovered this love for the genre. Yes, dystopian novels, awesome. Yeah, it's a different form of communication. It's not different form of communication. It's just more true to the dialect in certain areas of the country and communities. Ebonics is a language. Bad grammar included. It's a dialect, like any other language. Exactly, it's a dialect. It's a... I don't know. I can't equate another American dialect right now, but it is a dialect. I guess like Spanglish, except it's not like that. I don't know. It was horrific what happened in the language. Was a bit young as I'm not a teenager. Yeah, it's definitely... I mean, right away we can look at the difference of the book. Just in the spacing of the words, we know it's meant for a younger audience. But I think it's such absolutely riveting, stunning. Other people writing about this book, I'm really, really, really enjoying it. And I actually really want to see the movies. Now back to this. Yeah, Mortal Engines. What the hell? Like, what the... Like, even the Robert Sheen's in it, who played Simon in the movie. He's in it. So I was like, they even have a Simon. Like, it was... It's so similar. It's about this girl, and there's a bad guy named Valentine that's like her father, and she has to become part of this world, and she's a redhead. It's literally like... I started laughing in the theater when I saw it. Not because it looks bad or good, just because I was like, there's no freaking way. I think this book's very important to read today, especially in the U.S. with all the going on with the race and police force. No, let me know, my guy. I'm around. No, dude, it's cool news. So I'll call you, brother. Miss Sarah G, that's your name. Awesome. I just watched the trailer and yeah, it reminds me of Shadowhunters. Okay, right? It's like everyone's like, oh, this great idea. Sometimes you can do everything right and things will still go wrong. The key is to keep going. That reminds me of a famous phrase. The best laid plans of mice and men do often go awry. Where's that from? I had a teacher in English class, actually, in my junior and senior year, who taught us different idioms and phrases in in English, and what they meant, so that when we came across them, it would be very common. That was actually one of the best classes I had, because someone would be like, oh, remember what they say about best laid plans? Similar to what you're saying. Sometimes you can do everything right and things will still go wrong. Your best laid plans, like, you could make everything perfect, but those plans often go awry. It's a good line. I forgot what it's from. I'm going to look it up. This is adapted in a line in To a Mouse by Robert Burns. The best laid schemes of mice and men. Gang afterly. Okay. I think this book will help us understand more about the world. Star's only 16 and Charity's two friends die at such a young age. I know. I can't even imagine it. The first page itself, I agree. She's me at parties. Yo, me too. Depends on the party, but most parties, yeah. And Valentine, right? Like, what the hell? It's literally Shadowhunters, except this engine world thing. I don't know. Peter Jackson's losing it. It's literally the same, right? I love the dedication at the beginning of the book. Rita, I'm going to read that. Thank you for bringing that up. From my grandma, who showed me there can be light in the darkness. I don't know about you guys, but I'm very close to my grandmother. So I agree. I wish this was a book I had to read for English because there are so many literary things to discuss. Will you please elaborate on these literary things for everyone else? Where I want to have that conversation. That's great. Please keep going in that direction. The Tupac part is cool music reference. Hell yeah. Goodbyes hurt the most when the other person's already gone. That quote crushed me because I think if anyone's ever lost someone or hasn't seen someone in a long time, that's the moment that kind of lingers with you. I have a friend that I haven't seen in a very long time, and the last moment that I saw him, always just kind of there. So what else? As far as I'm noticing, we really like Star as a protagonist. I think she's really cool. I think she's smart. I want to talk about the reality that started to kind of hit me in my privilege there was the fact that they have two conversations. They have the birds and the bees conversation, and then they have what to do if the police become an issue conversation. I remember having some semblance of that conversation with my parents, but I don't think it was as serious as this one. I don't remember feeling such a weight impressed upon it, you know? Did you guys hear that? I never hear anything in this apartment, so that was weird. The iconic mustache. Oh yeah, it's never leaving. I'm keeping it. No, I have an audition on Tuesday that I want to keep it for, so. The fact that it's a conversation that people have to have with their children is very problematic. It's very problematic. But unfortunately, it is the reality of the current society we live in. I think that's one thing. Basically, I'm part of a huge family, and unfortunately, we're not close to each other. Something that I'll never forgive my uncles or aunts caused because they argue a lot of time. Oh, I'm sorry about that. No, I'm not going to talk about the audition. It's just an audition. If it ever comes to anything, I'll let you guys know. But I'm doing these all the time, so I can't talk about every single one. If it happens, I'll let you guys know. Back to the book, guys. Back to the book. You guys making me blush. There's a really good essay on this book from Bitch Media. It's called Through the Eyes of Others. I find it interesting that Star's uncle is a detective, and I'm curious to see what effect they'll have as the story progresses. Right, already inherently we're finding some semblance of, there's conflict there just inherently in the professions that are chosen. I think that's cool. I think that's definitely going to open up to an opportunity, and I think it's going to be a way that they, I think it's going to be interesting. I'm excited to hear it. My question is this a conversation that non-Americans also have with their children? Because this feels almost distinctly American and not in a good way. That's a very interesting question. How does everyone that's not American, what is your relationship with your police force? How are you taught about them? And what does that say about where you are in society if you think there are other factions of your society that have different conversations about the police? Because I think that's one thing that needs to be discussed and needs to be understood, is that not everyone has the same, like, one of the biggest arguments I remember I used to get was like, well, why don't people just do this differently? Or why can't people understand this? And I'm always like, there's a complete lack of understanding there to even ask that question. Stella's being cute. Well, just know if it happens, we'll be here to spot. Thank you, guys. As a European, this book and this reality is even more eye-opening than watching or reading about on the news. Oh, thank you, Camille. That's really interesting. IDK, but the gunshots remind me of someone I took part in a couple weeks ago. Like, I heard gunshots, and for a small moment, I felt like I was watching over Star in that moment. Wow. How do you type that fast? I'm sure this book will open more discussion about Black Lives Matters, and it's important. This book should be teaches in I think Star's dad is a controversial character. I think in the U.S., though, the way that, especially professionally, when you look at jobs, treat people that have gone through some sort of incarceration, it's as if they lost status as people in this country. And there aren't a lot of programs, and there are a few, and I think they're doing great work, but there aren't a lot of things. Generally, when someone's convicted of a crime in the U.S., they lose a lot of rights. The ability to vote, one of them. And that's what happened in Florida. They gave back a bunch of convicted felons their right to vote with Amendment 4, I believe it was called. It might be the wrong number, but I thought that was pretty cool. But I noticed the chapter with the shooting was shorter than the others, and it might have been the pace of the writing that made it seem shorter. I think how quickly things can change. How quick a gunshot is, too. You've never even heard a gunshot. Wow. I mean, I would say that's lucky you. That's a good thing. How many people in our life have actually shot a weapon before? Because think about it. The United States has 600 million guns. There are enough guns to arm each citizen. So, especially from the part of the country that I'm from in the South, I'm from Florida. Although where I'm from in Florida, the South wouldn't consider the South, and neither does Miami. We don't consider ourselves the South. But we're from that region, the South region of the United States, and then I spent a lot of time in different parts of the country. My parents live in North Carolina now. And then because of my parents' military history, weapons have always been something we were aware of. I never had a weapon in the home. My father never believed in it. But there are different rights that we Americans have. So guns and stuff like that is a more common thing in the U.S. How many people are aware of things like this outside of the U.S.? Different even places throughout America. It is. The conversation changes. Really don't know that this is a situation still in America. I mean, guys, we have to look at it. We have to look at it historically. America is only, 250 years old? 250 years old? That's nothing when you compare it to France or Italy or Europe, essentially, or most other countries. 250 years old, that's no time at all. And in that time, we've seen one population of our country go from being slaves to being voting members, presidents. But the problem is, if in the last 70 years, Like the civil rights movement happened in the 60s. Well, my parents were alive then. They were born around that time. So this is still, while we think it's this old issue that everyone's like, we solved it, we haven't solved it, and it's still very present in our society, the way things are built. It's an interesting conversation. There's a good movie on Netflix called On My Skin. It's an Italian movie, and it talks about police brutality in our country. Wow. Your voices matter, your dreams matter, your life matters. Be the roses that grow in the concrete. I was never taught about them, but our police here in the UK don't carry guns and don't ram into houses unless really needed. Police I've encountered usually mind their own business, okay? In the UK, gangs are a huge problem. The police aren't tackling the problem efficiently, okay? We don't have that type of conversation about the police in Australia, as we don't have a gun problem. No, you don't. It's like people lose their humanity once they're arrested. Yeah. By the way, I'm in love with your middle name, Carla. Oh, thank you. I totally agree with your insight into Star's father. Thanks for adding to the perspective of the programs in America. I never thought about that. There are programs, but it's still it's an uphill battle at that point, as it always is when this is just a hard topic to talk about when it comes to America. It's a lot of problems.
En la zona en lo que vivo solo ve la policía cuando hay manifestaciones o cuando son ferias y cosas así. Por los atentados que había en Europa, había mucha gente.
Wow, okay. The way Star does, you just start how to behave and react around the police really sets out the ideas of the book. And the history that they've encountered. Do what they say. Be polite. The things that they have to go almost into overdrive for, because of the history that community has with the police. I mean, I've seen people be rude to the police, but they weren't immigrants. So there was a sense of privilege there. I never had and I never will shoot a gun. Okay. I've never seen a gun. I will never shoot a gun. Never. I've shot a bow and arrow at a practice target, of course. I've never held a gun in the first place and I never will. Okay. I haven't. Our gun control in Germany is quite strict. Yes, I know that. I've used an air rifle before shooting at paper targets. Okay, in France, only police army have gun. There's a lot of control. I've never used a gun. From Georgia here, and I've never shot a gun. Okay, I'm from Brazil. We honor the police for our protection, but they can also be really unfair to people, especially black people who are from the favelas here. In USA are so crazy about guns. We are. It's in our Constitution. We have the right to bear arms, which, like, we could get into that conversation, but I don't think that's the conversation we want to have around this topic, because you can make arguments both for and against, and that's not the place we are here. Every time I read anything about police brutality and racial tensions, I think of Emmett Till and how far we've come, how far we haven't come, right? If anyone doesn't know the story of Emmett Till, I don't want to talk about it here, but you should go look it up. It's a very interesting piece of United States history. I'm reading all the comments, guys. I'm sorry if I'm not reading them out loud. I'm very happy that you've never heard a gunshot either. This is all... Okay, back to the book here. Thank you. The way Star calls her parents daddy and mama, it adds a certain vulnerability to her. And you remember that she is only 16 and has witnessed two of her best friends die in front of her. Not only die violently. But yeah, that... I remember when I stopped calling my mom. No, I still call my mom mommy. But I call my dad Pop now. I don't call him Papi. They're like daddy. I never said dad. I always did the Spanish words. Haven't shot or heard a gun. I'm always wondering why American cops shoot to kill and not on the knees or other non-lethal shots. That's a question we see a lot. The weapon was created for one thing, and that is to kill another human being. I think. That's it. The weapon was created to kill. When you shoot to maim, you're also, I think, risking the ability that's actually like humane. Like if someone shoots you in the knee, you might never walk again. And now you're going to be bleeding out, ruptured knee. That gets messy. And you can't, and those weapons aren't, while accurate, in the hands of someone scared, under tension, with adrenaline running. I don't think you should ever shoot unless you're shooting to end the life, but you have to be aware that that's what you're doing. I don't want to have a gun anywhere near my responsibility. I think it brings too much responsibility. Where is the book set, though? That's a great question. I don't know either. Does anyone know? Where's the book set? Now, where's Mariana, though? See, but I also have family in law enforcement. And there are different protocols and everything that they have to go through. There are just a lot of questions and things that I don't have enough answers to figure out. I don't know the entirety of. Okay, but the moment after everything happened, how Starr talked about the police officer, how he had his hands in his face, others were around him telling him it would be okay, I kind of like, at that bit. No, yeah, I mean, he just took a life. I don't think he meant to. I mean, I think we have to look at it also from the perspective of a police officer. If we took race out of the equation, anytime a police officer is approaching a vehicle from the back, it's a very dangerous position to be in. You don't know what that person in the car is doing with their hands. You don't know what's going on. And then you add the historically racial tensions that the U.S. has. It can be very frightening for a police officer to be approaching a vehicle like that. Now, I think people with nerves like that maybe shouldn't be as worried. But then again, I've never been in that position, so I can't. It's bringing up a lot of interesting conversations, a lot of thoughts. I'm excited to keep reading this book. Star's life is difficult. She's lost her best friends in a couple of years. Found the beginning of the book scary because it made me realize that there's really happening in the U.S. Here in Germany, gun laws are really strict, so I don't have any connections to guns. There's a shooting range here in L.A. You can just show up. You just walk in, you're like, I'd like to shoot guns. And they're like, all right, cool, pick a lane. I think this is awesome how much this book is making us question the world. It's what you tell us to do at the end of every live, and this book makes us do just that. Well, it makes... Like I'm a fan of reading something and then trying to reflect on what I've read, not making a decision, but trying to put it as more understanding, if and when a decision does ever have to come. You know, it's have a little more weight, have a little deeper understanding and knowledge of these things. Later on in the book, it said that he mistook the hairbrushes. I didn't read that part yet. Was that after chapter 5? Because I haven't read after chapter 5. That's true. There's always two sides of the same story. But in this case, they didn't care about Khalil. They just assumed he was a dealer. End of case, which he was. But like Reed explained there, he's more than that. I think it goes both ways. It's dangerous for both parties, essentially. But if everyone just keeps calm head and doesn't jump to violent action, it will be a better place. Exactly. I always said that if I saw it happen to somebody, I would have the loudest voice, make sure the world knew what went down. Now I'm that person, and I'm too afraid to speak. Basically, the piece you're trying to find a way to forgive innocent young boy. You read up to chapter 25? You can only talk to chapter 5. There's a movie with Michael B. Jordan. It's a true story. You should check that one out. Yeah, Fruitville Station. Very good movie. That was like the first movie that Michael B. Jordan starred in, and it brought him to a lot of acclaim because I think it was like a Sundance film and it did really well. But yeah, another film around relatively the same subject. All right, let's do quotes for the next few minutes. Let's jump into quotes. Who's got quotes for me? Every book you put in a mood of reflection. This book also, good vibes of reflection, like the discussion of the live discussions. Good. I want us to, you should always be reflecting on what you read. And then questioning it. Question everything. Do I believe this? Why do I believe this? Why would I not believe this? If I had to convince myself to not believe it, what would I say? What are the arguments I would use? Now that I do believe this, how do I rebuttal those arguments about why I wouldn't? Can I make sense of that? Really cool. My wallet, it says question everything on the bottom of it. That's why I bought it. Goodbyes hurt the most when the other person's already gone. They're great. Hodum is universal. That is a great quote. Any acting advice for a youngster who dreams of being an actress? Yeah. Take in how you feel about things. If you don't have any opinions, you can't be an actor. So, take in everything. Not like when you're at a restaurant, not just your food, but how things sound, how people are talking. There's a couple fighting, and how your parents are dealing with you. Just make sure you're always paying attention. I don't know. But know how you feel about it all. I don't know if that's good advice. I love how she calls the officer by his badge number. That's an interesting thing. We'll talk more about that next week, too. Ha, it's okay. More quotes. I'm standing on a track watching the train barrel toward me, and I tense up and wait for the impact. The moment she asks what happened. How the heck do I remember lines when I have so many lines in my performances of Jungle Book next week? I'm playing Baloo. How do you remember lines? You just trust yourself and keep practicing. You want to be able to wake up in the middle of the night and start in the middle of a scene and know all of the lines ever. And then you'll feel fine. You won't worry about it. When you know them that well, you never worry about it. Kenya and her beat down, though. You gotta give me time finding them in English because I don't know, we were having the live today. I said Sunday. I hope that one day I'll meet you. Aw, thank you.
cleaning it up. Not a quote, but I just love the flow rhythm of the language. There's something about not cleaning it up to standard English that's deliciously authentic. Well, I think that's one thing I feel like I'm really becoming a part of a certain world. I'm reading and I'm diving into a world and I'm becoming a fly on the wall of that world. And I love when books do that. I don't feel disassociated from this book at all. I feel like it's very, it brings people in.
Yo, Mariana!
El trío del barrio, más apretados que la nariz de Voldemort.
This live started about 45 minutes ago. We're going to have another couple minutes and then we're going to end it about 10 minutes early because we only have 60 pages to talk about. Tell the truth and don't let them put words in your mouth. God gave you a brain, you don't need theirs. I love that quote. That's true for, I think, everything. Don't let anyone put words in your mouth. You have a brain. Ever. Okay, I'm going to talk about this now then. So for next week, I had originally intended us to read to chapter 10, which is about page 164. It's 100 pages. But we're all feeling really all right, want to read 140 pages? We can read to chapter 12, page 200 for me. How does that? Yeah, how many pages are there total? Because I was thinking about how we want to end. So 444, so 2 more weeks after that. Yeah. What do you guys think? Page 200? Or do you want to go even farther? No, I think we have to go to... You know what? We should probably go a little farther because I'm going to the Army-Navy game next weekend. I don't know when we're going to have this live. All right. We're going to read through chapter 12. So up to chapter 13, not through chapter 13, up to chapter 13. That's page 220 for me. All right? I don't want to read that far because I'm having a trip with like my dad this weekend, and I want to make sure I can hang out with him and not have to read. Yeah, because then after that, we could maybe finish the book. We have 2 weeks before like our Christmas break starts, and we would have finished the book, have our Christmas and New Year's, and then start back right after that. So I think that's what we're going to do, all right? So up to chapter 13. I will let you know this time. Sorry, I forgot to let you guys know I was doing it. But I will let you guys know when we're actually going to be talking because I'm actually going to be in Philadelphia this weekend for the Army-Navy game. Go Army! Beat Navy! Thank you guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. My dad and I haven't had a trip together, so it's going to be cool. And it's the Army-Navy game. And I don't know if you guys know, but I've read a lot of military books. My dad's in the Army. And this will be my first Army-Navy game. And my cousin actually goes to West Point, so it's going to be really fun. It's going to be a good time. My uncle's going to be there. So, we got this. Thank you guys for an amazing read. Keep an open mind, keep questioning things, keep being curious. I challenge each and every one of us to put ourselves in the shoes of every character in this book. Not only Star's or her dad's or the police officers, but also Khalil's and his grandmother's and, the people at Star's school. And try to get the entire picture of what's going on. I think that's what I'm trying to do, and I think it'd be really fun. So I will see you guys next week. Have a great Sunday. Remember to keep questioning things. Keep being curious. Keep searching. And continue to be positive forces of change in your environment. Recommend people books. I will see you guys next week. Have a good one. Until next time.